should obtain advice from your doctor or medical professional before participating in any activities offered by Chronically Awesome. Never rely on our content in place of seeking professional medical advice. By using this video, you agree that you are voluntarily using or acting upon our content. You also agree that, save where Chronically Awesome is at fault, your use of or acting upon the content is at your own risk, including, but not limited to, all risk to yourself of harm, injury or illness, and in particular any harm, injury or illness resulting from overexertion or exacerbation of any medical conditions caused by the use of the content. Always remember that, if you experience pain while using or acting upon our content, stop and consult your doctor or medical professional. Always warm up before a class and warm down after. You do not need to complete an entire class. You can always start with a short section and build up to completing a full class over time. Pace yourself and listen to your body. Most of all, have fun. Exercise should be empowering and make you feel good. If it's not fun, try a different style of class until you find something you enjoy.
Hi. This workout's a nice, short, simple workout which is suitable for most people. If you're not currently exercising, or if you're very unfit at the moment, or maybe you're having a really bad day but still just want to do a little bit of activity. So it's a chair-based exercise session. So you can do this in a wheelchair, you can do it in a dining chair, you can do it in an armchair, and you could adapt it to do standing up as well. So you could do the same exercises from a standing position if that's something that you're comfortable with and able to do. The only piece of equipment I'm going to use is a tea towel. So just a simple clean tea towel or hand towel, that sort of thing. You could even use a rolled up t-shirt, so no fancy equipment needed. Feel free to put your own music on in the background and I'll explain what we're doing as we go. So we're going to start out with just a really simple march. So I'm going to move my arms and legs. If you're doing it from a wheelchair and you're not able to move your legs, or at the moment there's too much pain there, just do the arms. And equally, if your arms are having a bad day or if you're not able to use your arms, just use your legs. When we use the arms and legs together, we increase that demand just a little bit on our body. So if it feels like too much, just stop with the arms or stop with the legs, and that just makes it a little bit simpler. So just that nice simple march, lifting through the knee, and a nice small simple arm swing at the moment. And we're going to make that arm swing just progressively a little bit bigger if we're able to. So at all times remember, this is what's right for you. You're not in competition with anybody else. Although if you do get the arms and the legs going right at this sort of angle, it can look pretty good. You can imagine that you're Usain Bolt running the 100 metres. So from there, I'm going to bring that march to a stop. And we're going to go for a heel dig. So I'm going to start with just the legs, and then I'm going to bring the arm movement in as well. So we're just going to dig a heel forwards, tapping that heel straight out in front and bringing it back in. And with the arms, we're just going to do a little curling action. Again, we're going nice and steady, controlling the movement. So curl up towards the body. Try not to hit yourself. And just make sure we're moving nice and controlled. And then we're going to keep going with the legs, but we're going to move the feet to a toe tapping movement rather than a heel dig. So just tapping that toe onto the floor and keeping those arms moving. Remember, if we're only doing arms or legs, that's absolutely fine all the way through. And then I'm going to go for a heel to toe. So what I'm doing here is making sure that my heel and toe hit the floor on roughly the same spot. So with the arms, we could go for an alternate curl with the arms, or just concentrate on that leg movement. And then we're going to do the same with the other foot. So if you imagine that there was an X drawn on the floor, you're trying to make sure that both your heel and your toe hit the centre of that X. And then we're going to bring that to a stop. Next thing we're going to do is some knee lifts. So just nice and controlled, lifting from the knee just as high as we're comfortable going. So that may be a very, very small movement, or it may be a bit higher. With the arms, we're going to come to the opposite knee with the hand. So remember, if we're not lifting the knees, we can still do that same arm movement, taking the hand across to the opposite knee. And all we're doing here is really getting each part of our body warmed up and moving a little bit. So we know that we're not going to be going out for a huge run or doing a massive workout, but it's still really important, even on our bad days, just to try and keep the body moving a little bit. And that's all we're doing here. So I'm going to bring those feet to a stop. And I'm going to bring my arms up. Now here you can hold your arms up, you could hold your hands down, whatever's comfortable for you, but we're going for a turn, so I like to rest one hand on top of the other. And just a little turn from the waist. So only turning as far as you're comfortable with. And even if you've got a good range of motion, starting out with quite a small movement and then gradually increasing. And the turn's coming from the waist, not just from the arms. And that is really important here. And coming back to centre, we're going to drop the arms down to the sides and we're going to go for just a little side bend. So again, I've got quite a big range of motion there, but you're only going as far as is comfortable, so if it's just that small little movement, that's absolutely fine. And on this one, we're not leaning forwards, we're not leaning backwards. If you imagine that there was a pane of glass in front of you and a pane of glass behind you, you're moving in the centre of it. So you're not going to bang your head on it by leaning forwards or backwards. But you're moving between those two panes. One more each side. And we're going to come back to centre. So, the next thing that we're going to do is with the arms, and all I'm going to do with my feet is just have a nice little gentle marching motion, but if you need to keep your feet still for these next ones, that's absolutely fine too. And all I'm going to do is come out to shoulder height at the side and back down again. Shoulder height and back. So we don't want to come above shoulder height. And if the range of motion you've got smaller and we're only coming out a little bit, that's absolutely fine. Just to your comfortable range of motion. So when we talk about comfortable range of motion, If you're always in pain, then movement's not going to be pain-free. I wish it was, we know it's not. But we don't want to make things worse. So if you're in pain, but you can manage up to there, but coming up to there really makes it hurt, just come to there. And just gradually take it higher each time if you're able to. And often you will find that as your muscles develop and as you loosen and lubricate that joint, it will become easier to get a wider range of motion. I'm going to keep the feet going. We're going to come to the front again, just to shoulder height. Now going back to the range of motion, if it's still causing an awful lot of pain, that's probably something that you should be speaking to your doctor about, or speaking to a physiotherapist if you've not already seen one and been told what your normal is. So I'm just going to come a little bit higher now if I'm able to. If you're only able to come to shoulder height, that's absolutely fine, but if we can, just making that movement just a little bit bigger till we're reaching all the way up to the ceiling. And then I'm going to start to move my hand backwards as well a little bit. So remember, if you're doing this in an armchair or in a wheelchair, that range of motion may be restricted by the furniture or equipment that you sat on. So again, just move as you're able to. But all we're doing here is really getting that shoulder going now through as wide a range of motion as we can. All the way up. And we're going to come to a stop there. We're going to bring the hands up in front and we're just going to push forwards, back into the chest. Forwards, back into the chest. So you can link your hands, you can push forwards with fists if that's better for you. Some people prefer that. It's whatever works for you. I'm trying to keep that upper body nice and tall. And finally we're going to give a little push forwards and on a slight angle, we're pushing across the body. With the feet, we're just going to lift the heel as we take the hand across the body. So some people are sameys and they'll always lift the heel and the hand on the same side. Some people are opposites. It's whatever works for you. So opposite would be lifting opposite leg as the hand comes across. You generally find that once you get into it, it doesn't matter which way you do it, but everybody has a preference. And then we're going to bring that to a stop. And we're going to pick up our tea towel. So all I've done is just folded it in half and then rolled it up. So I've got a tea towel sausage basically. First thing I'm going to do is wring it out. So imagine you're doing the dishes or done the laundry and you're just wringing it out. So just twisting it and then releasing again. Do a few in one direction, then we're going to twist it the other way. So again, you'll always have a preference, but if we can, twisting it in both directions. If your grip's not great, you can miss this bit out, but it's actually a really good exercise for improving the grip, so it's something that can be really useful. If you have something like arthritis in the hands and you've got a lot of pain and this is aggravating it, then at that point we would skip this exercise. I'm just going to turn the tea towel the other way and I'm going to wring it out again. So I'm keeping that movement going, twisting it out, releasing. And finally I'm going to change direction again, so I'm just going to twist it the other way. Okay, so I'm just going to pop the tea towel down either on the knee or on the floor or wherever's convenient for you. Just give your fingers a wiggle for a second. So I've been gripping that tea towel, your hands might feel just a little bit stiff now. Just give them a wiggle out or a little bit of a squeeze and release. Then from there, we're going to take the tea towel out to one side. We're keeping the elbow bent at right angles, so rotating out into the centre, past the tea towel to the other hand if we can, and coming out the other side. So this works the muscles that stabilise our shoulders, which is really good for everybody. We can all use more stability there, more strength, but all we're doing is getting those muscles working, but without loading them with any weights. Perfect. Bringing that to a stop. Another one we do is pass the tea towel under the knee. So we're just going to lift the knee up, see if we can pop the tea towel underneath it. It's good for dexterity, proprioception, because we're controlling where our hands are, controlling that lift of the leg. But again, if this one causes you pain, just skip this exercise. We're not going to do a lot because this is not a big fitness routine, this is an easy, gentle day routine. So, at this point, you can use your tea towel, you can drop the tea towel. We're just going to imagine that we're cleaning a window. So if you're holding on to the tea towel, some people prefer to grip the fabric, some people find this a lot easier without, so it's whatever works for you. And we're going to do that with both hands. Take the tea towel in front of us, holding in both hands. All we're going to do is lift up and back down again. Two more, so we've done 5 in total. And we're going to pop that tea towel down now and finish with that. So we're just going to loosen everything out and we're going to have a stretch off. So first thing I want you to do is just circle at the wrists. We're going to circle in one direction. And then we're going to circle in the opposite direction. And we're going to take the thumb to each finger in turn. And all we're doing there is just loosening off those muscles that have just been gripping at that tea towel. And we're going to finish off with some stretches. So we're not needing to cool down as such because we've not really done anything that should have elevated the heart rate that much. We've not done anything too demanding on the body. All we've done is loosened everything off. And just done a couple of exercises just to give some muscle control and a little bit of strength work on the grip. So we're going to take one hand out in front and we're going to bring it across the body. Use the other hand just to help it over. Now this stretches out the back of the shoulder, and you can either put your hand where I've got mine there, that side of the elbow. You can have it between the wrist and elbow. Just try not to press on the joint because that can cause damage. So we're going to release on that side, and then we're going to do the same thing. So arm out, across the body, and then wherever's comfortable for you, helping that joint to come over, just stretching out that back of that shoulder. Don't worry if your arm doesn't come all the way across the body, if it only comes part way, that's absolutely fine, as long as you can feel a stretch. And when we talk about a stretch, you should feel a slight stretch, but you shouldn't feel any pain. So I'm just going to release from that. If you're feeling pain, you need to ease off on the stretch, just to the point of mild tension. That's all we want. I'm going to stretch out the back of the arms. So we're going to take the hand, if we can, to the same shoulder. Now if that's a problem, you may want to miss this stretch out. And all we're going to do is push up on the elbow. Now for a lot of people that's enough. If you are quite bendy, you might be able to take it up higher. I'm going to hold that. And we're going to release. Same on the other side if we're able, so hand to the same shoulder and either pushing up, or if you're able, taking it that little bit higher to get more of a stretch, but never to the point of pain. And we're going to release from that. We're going to take one hand and pop it on top of the other. We're going to push the head down a little bit and we're just going to push forwards. So this is stretching out that upper back. And then we're going to release from that. A couple of options for this next one. We can take the hands behind the back. We can take the hands to the back of the chair. Or we can just push backwards, whatever feels right for you. So what we're doing here is stretching out the chest. If you're pushing back, just imagine you're on the prow of the Titanic, wind in your hair. Becomes quite a nice stretch at that point. And we're going to release from that. I'm going to stretch out these muscles down at the sides, so I'm going to take one hand to the opposite knee, other hand to the back of the chair, to the corner. I'm just going to look so I'm right between my two hands, I've got a slight turn to my body, and then just lift the chest and lift the spine. And then releasing on that side. Same on the other side, so hand to opposite knee, other hand to the back of the chair, lifting that spine, looking between the hands. And releasing from that. We're going to come forward a little bit if we need to, just so we're more at the edge of the chair. Now again, if you need that postural support from whatever you sat on, then don't move forwards. But if you're able to keep that body nice and tall at the edge of the chair nice and safely, then do move forwards. We're going to take one leg out so it's straight, toes pointing towards the ceiling. And we're going to imagine there's an invisible string on the end of that toe when we're pulling it. So what we're doing is pulling the toe back towards the body, and that gives us a stretch down here on this calf muscle. And we're going to relax relax that, so the toes flopping forward a little bit. Popping the other hand onto the knee and just leaning forward slightly. So you want to keep your back nice and straight as you lean forwards. And all that's doing is bringing the stretch onto the hamstring muscle, which is at the back of your upper leg. That's a muscle that tends to get very tight when we're sat a lot. So especially if you're a wheelchair user or you're not very mobile, that's a muscle that really does shorten and tighten in a lot of people, so it's a really good one to stretch out. We're going to sit back up and we're going to bring that leg back in. We're going to take the other leg out. So first of all, imagining that invisible string from your toe that you're pulling up towards you, just to get that stretch on that lower leg, on that calf muscle. Holding that. And then we're going to release that leg, release that toe so it flops forward a little bit. Hands onto the bent leg, and then again keeping the back nice and straight, just leaning forwards. So the lean's coming from the hip, you're not just hunching yourself over, but you're actually leaning forwards. And that'll give you that stretch, you'll feel that stretch very quickly on the back of that upper leg. So as before, just to the point of mild tension, not to the point of discomfort. We're going to sit back up from that, and we're going to bring that leg back in. We're going to give the hands a shake out, and give the arms just a little gentle shake. And then we're going to give each leg just a little gentle shake out as well. And finish off, give the whole body just a little bit of a shake, just everything nice and loose and nice and relaxed. Well done. Really simple routine. Hopefully you're feeling alright after it. It shouldn't have aggravated anything too much because we've not asked too much of the body. All we've really done is loosened everything up and then given everything a nice stretch out and a relax. Hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.